Okay, so the last few lessons have been building on intervals, scales, and triads. Today we're going to be sort of taking a step back and looking at the foundation of rhythm. So this is a little bit of a non sequitur. So let's just go over some standard notation. Okay, so we got the whole note, the half note, the quarter note, the eighth note, and the 16th note. In this example, we're going to be looking at what one bar of 4/4 is going to look like with a distribution of each of these. So in the middle, we've got another half note. So whole note takes up an entire measure. Half note takes up half of a measure. Quarter note, a quarter of a measure, etc., etc. Boop, boop, boop. And then we can just keep on subdividing. So I'm just going to try to keep these in line. So we got these. These are the beginnings of each of our eighth note pairs. Boop. Do. And 16th notes, we're going to subdivide one more time.
Can you, while you do that, can you define measure?
Oh, a bar.
Okay.
Measure and bar are interchangeable.
Synonymous, more or less.
So I'm starting with these eighth notes, and then I'm going to divide them again. So, do. So this might seem like unnecessary and repetitive work, but I'm doing this for a reason. One more. Boop, doop, shloop, one more. Okay, so for all of these groupings, all of these different subdivisions, there's a concept of a strong beat and a weak beat. So for the whole note, there's only a strong beat. It's the downbeat. It's the one. When you're looking at half notes, the first one is your strong beat. The second one is your weak beat. And then as we subdivide further, we start to get all of the strong beats are still considered strong beats. How do I want to say this? Basically, every time you subdivide, you're going to be introducing another weak beat into it. So now, what was the weak beat for the half note, we consider a strong beat, but it's not as strong as the first beat. So this is a strong beat, this is a strong beat, but this strong beat isn't as strong as this strong beat. So we have on beat, off beat, on beat, off beat.
So when you go down another subdivision, is every next strong beat weaker, or is it just strongest beat and then less strong beat for the next?
That's
four?
right. It's kind of cumulative.
Okay.
So if what was considered a strong beat above is still considered a strong beat,
Yep.
what was considered a weak beat is now considered a strong beat,
Yep.
but it's not as strong as this strong beat, which is in turn not as strong as this strong beat, right? Because it's cumulative.
Well, so why is the second one not as strong as the third one?
Because
On the eighth.
so we're adding them up. So I'm just gonna add where the accents are. So this symbol means it's accented. So this is accented. This is accented, and now this is accented. With eighth notes, this is accented, this is accented, this is accented, this is accented. And now finally with 16th notes, accent, 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 accent. So if you superimpose these on top of each other and consider the strength and add them all up, then you end up with a pattern of relative strength, essentially, right? So let's actually do that and then calculate how strong each of these 16th notes, how much weight they have. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's just call this 5. And then over here we have 1, 2, 3. Next we're gonna have our 8th notes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are each worth 2. And then we got 1 for these ones. And then these ones in the middle, I would just give them a 0 or something. They're just in passing. Or you could increase the weight value of all of these other ones. So I'll just put sort of dots here for now. So this is not really a common thing. I'm just sort of illustrating how you can think of these different subdivisions having a different amount of weight. And it is kind of cumulative. The downbeat of a bar is always the strongest beat in a measure, right? And then the halfway point is the second most strongest. And then the quarters are the third most strong. And then the eighths are the fourth most strong. And the 16ths are the weakest in terms of their weight.
So what are you defining the strength based on? Like based on like how the ear is going to pick it up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't worry too much about these numbers. The actual numbers aren't really relevant here. This is just an illustration of how you want to think about strength and weakness in terms of meter and pulse. And then in your worksheet or in your handout, you also have the corresponding rests for each of those divisions. I'm not even going to bother with that. You just have it as a reference. Okay, so now we're going to quickly move on. Actually, let's do a really quick exercise. For a lot of these, we're not gonna be playing any instruments today. We're just gonna be doing sort of rhythmic exercises where we're vocalizing. So let's do a pattern of 4 quarter notes as our fundamental pulse, and then we're going to just vocalize each of these subdivisions. Right, we'll just get into the pattern of that. So let's go the slow quarter of like 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we get to the whole, we just go ta ta. Sorry, the first time I only held it for 3. So what you want to do is hold it for the entire measure, and then as soon as we get to the downbeat, that's where you stop. Right? So we're going to do that for each of these. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta 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 ta.
We're not doing one of your solos, Jesse.
All right, cool.
Drop that bass.
Whoa. Alrighty. So. so now we're going to talk about dots and ties. So let's get just these 4 quarters again as our reference point. And let's look at a dotted half note. So what does a dotted half note mean? Well, when you add a dot, you take the value of whatever the division that is being applied to, and you add 50% to it. So 50% of a half note is a quarter note, right? And we know that a half note is 2 quarters. So it's 2 quarters plus 1 quarter. So it's 3 quarters long, right? So if a dotted half note, then this will take up 1, 2, 3, and then we have a quarter note over here. And if instead we flip this around and we put a quarter note here, and we wanted a dotted half note here, we might not actually want to write it like this, because in quarter note notation, if we think back to that first example, this is considered a weaker beat. So if we're really concerned about the strength and the accent of these quarter notes, and that's important to us, we may instead write it like this. This is a tie. So this just means accent this, or sorry, not accent, but articulate this, and then hold it for this amount of time as well. So the reason why we use this instead of this is because we're starting on an unaccented beat. And if we really care about the accents, we want to show where the downbeats are, right? So by doing this, we're conveying more information to the reader than if we simply had a quarter note and a dotted half note. There might be examples where that's totally fine. Like if we consider all of these to be equal, then that's totally fine. Then we could just have a quarter note and then a dotted half note. But if let's say we're not in 4/4, but we're in cut time, which is 2/2, then we are emphasizing the first beat, or the first beat and the second beat, which each would be half notes. So I'll just do that really quick. So in a 2/2 example, this is how you would want to write it, whereas in a 4/4 example, this is totally fine. And we'll get into time signatures in a little bit.
I've never heard of 2/2 time signature.
Yeah, so 2/2 is the same. It has the same amount of value as 4/4, but the emphasis is on half notes instead of quarter notes.
Oh, okay.
So you would count in half notes, and your metronome mark would be for half notes instead of quarter notes.
So holes would always be across two bars?
No, a whole note would be still a full bar.
Oh.
Because there's still 4 quarters.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because 2 halves still equals 4.
Yeah.
Let's look at some other examples of dots and ties. So let's look at eighth notes. Boop, swoop, boop, swoop. So we could have a dotted quarter note, right? So how long is a dotted quarter note?
3 beats.
Yes, that's right, 3/8 notes.
Or, yeah.
So we would have a loose eighth note at the end. Because this would take up 1, 2, 3, and then we have a fourth here. So let's do that same flip around, right? So if we have a quarter note, or sorry, an eighth note here and an eighth note here, but then we want to hold it for the rest of the beat, this is a weak beat. So we wouldn't want to have a loose eighth note and then a dotted quarter, because that's confusing to look at. It's not showing you where the strong beat is in the measure, right? Whereas if we connect them and tie them, we know that the beat is here and here, right?
And the tie is just hold it until the next.
Just hold it, exactly, yeah. So if we have quarter notes and we're counting eighth notes, we got dot 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 dot. This example would be da 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 da, and this would be da 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 da. Right? That makes sense. And we could turn these into 16th notes, and all of these rules would still hold. So then this would be, I'm going to make this one smaller. So this is going to be one of these guys. And I'm just going to repeat that figure for simplicity. So now, oh, sorry. So now this is a dotted eighth note, which is equal to 3/16. And this is just a 16th note. And then if we wanted this other version where we have a 16th by itself. This one you could write probably either way. So this would be a 16th note and then a dotted eighth note. You do see this, because generally if you have a grouping of 16ths like this, you probably care more about the quarter note than you do about the eighth note. But you might also see it like this. So what would this be? So this would be 2 16th notes and a eighth note with a tie. These are both pretty common. They could be interchangeable. And again, the reason why you might use one or the other depends on where you want to show the accent to the person who's reading. So in this example, you don't care about the eighth note placement, right? Because there would be like another 16th note right here, or another, I'm explaining this poorly. So this beat is falling on the second 16th note. So if you care a lot about this third 16th note and you want it to be accented like this, actually I'm going to do it. Actually, sorry. Let's do it over here. So if you really cared about this accent here, this accent in the middle of this 16th group, then you would want to write it like this, because you're showing where that downbeat is. If you don't care about this one in the middle and you only care about the downbeat, then this is an acceptable way to write it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet. So that is dots and ties. Okay, cool. So now let's dive into time signatures a bit more. So a time signature is made up of two numbers. a top and a bottom. So the top one refers to the number of pulses per bar. And the bottom number refers to the value of each pulse. So I'm actually gonna just turn these into just like X and Y because we don't actually care. It doesn't matter what the numbers are, this always holds, right? So if we're in 4/4, then that would be 4 quarter notes. If we were in 2/2, that would be 2 half notes. If we were in 8/8, let's try to keep these in line. Doop, 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 doop. Then you have 8/8 notes. And so all of these are equivalent in terms of how many beats you have per measure, right? They all add up to a whole note in every measure. But the only difference is which we consider to be the pulse, right? So in 4/4 we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In 2/2 we have 1, 2, 1, 2. In 8 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are all considered simple time. The reason they're simple time is they have a number, a top number, which is divisible by 2. That's kind of a crappy definition.
What's the most commonly used?
Most commonly used?
Yeah.
4/4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm blanking on like a very like firm definition for simple time. So I might have to.
But the notes aren't dotted.
Yeah, that's part of it. So let's maybe to get a better idea of what simple time is, let's contrast it with compound time. So in compound time, yeah, that's just it. We're using dotted notes instead of regular notes. Or undotted notes, I suppose. So let's look at a few examples. So 6/8, for example, we use a dotted quarter and a dotted quarter. And these are like the foundation. These are like the strong beats. And then you also have within each of those a group of 3/8 notes. So normally, in simple time, your eighth notes are in groups of 2 or potentially groups of 4. But in compound time, they're going to be in groups of 3. So this is 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. In 9/8, you just have 3 groups of dotted quarter notes, which can be written as groups of 3/8 notes. One, two, three, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. And 12/8 is going to be the same thing, but with 4 groups of 3 16th notes. Sorry, 8th notes. So these are most of the common times you're going to see. Another fairly common one, sorry, I'm kind of running out of space, would be 3/4. This is also pretty commonly used. So this is kind of an analog for 9/8. They're similar because you're using 3 groups. So we can get more specific with how we refer to these meters. So 2/2, for example, would be considered simple duple. Simple because they would be divided normally. The half notes would divide into quarter notes, which would divide into 2/8 notes, 16th notes, and duple because there's 2 of them. 3/4 would be considered simple triple. Simple because they would divide exactly equally, like they would divide by 2, and then triple because there's 3 of them. And then if we could compare that to 9/8, which would be compound triple. Compound because each pulse is going to be divided by 3 instead of by 2, and triple because there's 3 of them. And then of course you have simple quadruple and compound quadruple. Does that make sense?
Looking good.
All right, cool. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's talk about some common rhythmic figures. So if we're looking at half notes, quarter notes, and 8th notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I said, 8th notes can either be grouped in 2s or 4s. But you know that this is a quarter note and not a 16th note because there's only 1 line, not 2 lines. So if you have like a half note, or actually, yeah, so I'm just going to do all of these. So we've got a quarter, got 8th notes, and 16th notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doop, doop, swoop. And then we also got an 8th note, 16th note, and 32nd note. So 32nd note just has one more line. So in each of these figures, you can verbalize these if you're reading them. So you might call this ta. You might call this ta di. And you might call this ta, ka, di, mi.
Sushi.
And this is what you call rhythmic solfege. So you've probably heard of regular solfege, like melodic solfege, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Not soulfish.
This is an analog to that, but for rhythms.
What's it called again? Rhythmic what?
Rhythmic solfege.
Solfege?
Solfege. Solfege. Which I assume is Italian. So this is just a verbal way of expressing rhythms. So this is just a way of showing emphasis. So we got 1, 2, and 1. That's not a 1 at all. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are just different ways of counting, essentially. So ta, di, takadimi, takadimi. Right?
Kobayashi, kobayashi.
And so just as before, we have this notion of accent and unaccented. So strong beat, strong beat, strong beat, strong beat. With sort of these sub-pulses in between.
Accent and strong beat are the same.
Yeah. So strong beat, they're a little bit different. A strong beat is something that is kind of inherent to the meter that you're working within, whereas an accent is something that is emphasized by the performance.
Okay.
In this context, I'm kind of using them interchangeably because I'm assuming that the accents are going to follow the inherent strength of the meter.
Okay. In this context, it's
Yeah, but you could accent things that would typically be considered a weak beat in the meter.
right.
And that is called syncopation. It's when you emphasize something that's not an inherent strong beat. Which is very common. Very common in popular dance music. Because I think you'll find if you operate always using the inherent strong beats of a bar, you make really boring music. Because people understand it really easily.
Simpleton.
Easy, yeah, it's easy to master, so it doesn't hold interest for very long. All right, cool. So let's look at some more figures. Now that we've sort of been introduced to this idea of rhythmic solfege. So I'm just going to take this middle example, because all of these are going to be equal to each other. It just depends on what you want your foundational beat, your pulse to be. I'm going to pick a quarter note, because that's what's probably most common. 3, 4. Okay, so let's just start at the top here. So ta. So if we put a quarter note and we compare it to a 16th note, quarter note, the downbeat lands right there. So it's a ta. With an eighth note, 2 eighth notes, we have a beat here and we have a beat here. Right? So we have ta, D. Ta, D. 16th note, this is this figure, taka, di, mi. This figure, we have ta, and then this is an eighth note, so we're skipping ka, and we have di, mi. So ta, di, mi. And now we have ta, ka, di. Taka, di. Ah. Sorry, that's a 16th note. This is a dotted eighth note, which we know is worth 3 16th notes. So we have ta, mi. Ta, mi, ta, mi, ta. And then we have a 16th note and a dotted eighth note. So we have ta, ka. And then we have 16th note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, right? So 16th note, quarter note, 16th note. So this is ta, ka, mi. All right, cool. So let's play some of these. So using a quarter note pulse around here, I think. 2, 3, 4. Ta, ta, di. Taka, di, mi, ta. Di, mi, ta. Taka, di, ta. Mi, taka. Taka, mi. Yeah.
Oh, God.
If you don't want to say the syllables, don't have to. This is just a teaching tool. If you want to, instead of saying takadimi, just want to go ta 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 ta. It literally doesn't matter. You just want to make sounds at the right time. That's the point.
Okay.
Right? So let's just do each of these individually, and then we'll try to put it together. Right? So we got ta, 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 di, ta, di, ta, di, ta, di. Takadimi, 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 ta, dimi, ta, dimi, ta, dimi, ta, dimi, takadi, 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 ta, mita, 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 mitaka, mitaka, taka, 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 mitaka, 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 mita. Yeah, cool. Let's do these ones one more time. Because it starts to get a little bit weird, because now we actually have this idea of syncopation, whereas all of these are basically landing on strong beats in one way or another. But these are emphasizing those weaker beats. So they're inherently more difficult to us, right? So let's do these three figures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, mita, 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 mitaka, taka, 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 mitaka, 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 mi. Cool. All right, let's try the whole thing. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ta, di, taka, di, mi, ta, di, mi, taka, di, ta. Mi taka, taka, mi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're summoning a demon.
Yeah.
Summoning a sushi.
Summoning the sushi god. Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Cool.
I think I like the Kobayashi better.
Kobayashi.
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 Koba.
Ko.
Koba. Ko. Ya. Ko. Ya.
Yeah. Whatever works. Like I said, whatever syllables you use, it pretty much doesn't matter. This is just a teaching tool. Just ass.
Ass. Ass.
Ass
balls.
backwards. Ass
balls.
backwards.
Ass balls. Ass balls cunt. Ass balls cunt.
You have to put a warning on this lesson video.
Uh-oh.
Just bleep them out, it's fine.
Beep. Beep.
Okay.
Pee poo.
Pee poo. Pee poo. Pee poo.
That's the funniest one.
Yeah, we're mature here.
Pee poo piss. Pee poo piss.
Reminds me of the drummer for Protest the Hero had a workshop at Long McQuaid, and he explained that Brody, their singer, he like prepared the click tracks for the drummer for onboarding, and all the count-ins were just like ridiculous sound effects, and he had this one song that was just like a baby crying. It was like wah wah wah. Like that's what he had to drum to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
When they have the big explosions in their set, the tech guy would have the sounds be in their in-ear monitors,
Just be
but actually
farts?
just like huge farts.
Yeah. That's the worst.
Yeah. So the band is just listening to fart sounds. Alright, cool.
They have fun with it.
So now we're going to talk about tuplets. So tuplets are just different subdivisions, generally referring to non-standard divisions of a pulse. So you divide a quarter note in half, you get 2/8. That is a standard division. You wouldn't generally refer to this as a tuplet, but it technically speaking it is, because it's a division of a pulse. If we were to divide this in 3, I'm just gonna give this a little bit of space. We put a little 3 above this. So now this is a triplet 8th group, right? if we keep going with this, we can divide a quarter into 4/16. I don't need to write a number because this is understood to be a natural division of a quarter note. Right? You divide a quarter note in half, you get eighth notes, you divide an eighth note in half, you get 16th notes. It's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you want to divide a quarter note by 5. So you're a crazy person. Well, 5 is bigger than 4. So we're going to refer to them as 16th notes. But this is going to be a quintuplet. Yeah, I guess I should have started calling these names. That probably would have helped with the whole idea of tuplets. So we got the pulse. This is a duplet because we've divided by 2. This is 3, so it's a triplet. This is a quadruplet, and this is a quintuplet.
So the single note is just pulse?
Yeah, it's just the pulse. There might be a fancy name for it, but I don't know what it is.
Why is the word tuplet making me more hungry than talking to Amy?
Dumpling?
I know. I think it just sounds more like Western food, which I prefer to sushi. So.
The large tuplet.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put a warning on this one.
That was not racist. So you prefer a type of food.
You immediately jumping to conclusions there. I could have been referring to anything, Angus. You're immediately defending yourself. Alright, cool. So now we can have 6 16th notes. 6. This is a sextuplet. We can keep going with this. I'm going to put them down here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a septuplet for 7. And then we can have 8. 1, 2, shwoo, shwoo. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I went one more than I needed. 8. Swoop. And this is a natural division, which we call the 32nd note. So we don't need to explicitly call it, notate it with an 8 or an octuplet. This is a natural division. Okay, I'm actually gonna, I did that just for completeness, but I kind of run out of room on the board. I don't want to do everything again. So I'm just gonna compare the first 6 with if we were in a compound meter, where a dotted quarter note is our pulse. So if we were to divide the dotted quarter into 2 eighth notes, this is not a natural division of a dotted quarter, because a natural division of a dotted quarter is 3/8, right? So this is what you would call a duplet. And we know that 3/8 notes is a natural division. So this is a triplet, but we don't need to annotate it as such, because we know that this is just a natural division in compound time. And then we get 4. We got, right. So now we have 4/8 notes in a dotted quarter. So this is a quadruplet. You would not normally see this in compound time, so we notate it as such. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same with this guy. So this is a grouping of 5 quintuplet eighth notes. And then a group of 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are just 16th notes. And this would be naturally occurring in compound time. The way compound time works is the fundamental pulse is divided into 3, but then the natural subdivisions are divisions of 2 thereafter. So you wouldn't divide each of these into 3, right? Because then you would have like neptuplets or something of your dotted quarter. That's not really normal. Some people will do it, but it's not really normal. Cool. So that's the idea of tuplets. So takeaway idea is you can take a pulse and you can divide it into as many subdivisions, any number of subdivisions that you want. And there is a standard formula for what is normally occurring and how you notate the not normally occurring subdivisions. So, there it is. So I've got another exercise for us. So let's just work with the quarter note. And we're going to, let's do so quarter note, 8th note, 16th note, and 32nd notes. And we're just going to count how many divisions there are. So we're just going to count, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is a 2-syllable one, so you can just go like se 8. It doesn't matter what it is; it just has to be a sound, right? So we're gonna go really slow here because 8 is a lot of numbers to say. So, yeah, probably around there. 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Cool. So that's the natural division of simple meter. Let's do a natural division of compound meter. So we're going to start with 1, then we're going to go 3 and 6. Right? So probably around the same place. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I fucked up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Cool.
So how do you do the 5, like on that one?
Yeah, so let's look at the weird ones. So 5 is a tricky one. You don't normally see things that are grouped into 5s, but it would just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And then a really tricky one is 7. That's gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, a really hard exercise that I challenge you all to is to go from 1 all the way up to 8 sequentially.
In simple or compound?
To go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
Oh, okay.
in order, up and down. It's really hard. It's very challenging to do, but extremely useful for calibrating your like internal clock.
Okay.
So let's try that. So what you want to do is you want to set your metronome really slow, because you have to divide it into 8, right? So So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh wait, yeah, okay.
Nailed it.
So again, once you get up to 7, 7 is a 2-syllable word.
Yeah.
So you probably want to substitute it
For Sev.
for sev.
Yeah.
Or yeah, you probably want to do that.
Or
So-
Ven.
Or yeah, Ven 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Ven 8
Or Eve.
Eve. Or whatever you do. Yeah.
Creative.
Sev 8. Because then at that point, if you're actually saying 7, 8, you're doing a 16th. You're doing a 32nd note, not a 16th note.
That is a flaw in
Yeah.
the English language.
Yeah. Yeah. So practice that, because that will really help you calibrate your natural ability to change subdivisions. And then once you've done that up and down, what you basically want to do is randomly jump from one division to the next, and give special care to some of the weird ones, like going from 3 to 5 to 7, like that kind of thing. Very challenging to do, but it'll really help your internal chronometer, if you will. Very cool. So that is all of the content that I have. I've got a couple pages of exercises. So let's just do a few of these, and then I'm just gonna ask you guys to tackle these a little bit here and then on your own time. There's quite a bit of exercises. We probably don't want to do all of them today.
All right.
So let's see here. Where do we want this to be? Put it around there. Okay, so let's do this first exercise here. So we're counting quarter notes.
Sorry, what does that C mean?
Oh, C is common time,
Oh.
which is 4/4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of a jazz thing. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, 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 ta. Again. Ta, 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 ta. Good. Okay, 1. Let's do the next one. Ta, 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 ta. So this one is incorporating those ties, right? So when you have a tie, that means you're going to be doing. So in this example, we have ta, 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 and then the downbeat of that third quarter note is held over from the previous beat.
So you don't say that.
So you don't say the one that's being tied.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So if we were to just look at the the first half of this measure, it would be ta ta ta, and then the second half would be ta ta ta, right? So together that's ta 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 ta.
Okay.
Yeah, and then let's look at that second measure. So that's going to be ta 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 ta, and then ta ta, right? So that together is ta 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 ta. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's do that whole two measures. 3, 4. Ta 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 ta. Again. Ta 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 ta. Good. Let's try the next one. 4. Ta 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 ta. Good. Ta ta. Sorry. Let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. Ta 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 ta. Good. Okay, let's try this number 4. So this one has some 16th notes in it. So those are going to be in that second measure. It's going to be ta 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 ta. Let's try the whole thing. 1, 2, 3. Ta 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 ta. Again. Ta 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 ta. All right, let's do one more. 1, 2, 3. Ta.
Ta ta.
Nope.
Wait.
That's a
You going
half
on-
note, guys.
Or are you going on 5?
Did I skip one?
No, you just
No.
say go to the next one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, cool. Yeah, number 5. 1, 2, 3. Ta 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 ta. Oh fuck! I screwed that one up. All right, so that last measure is a doozy. So we have ta 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 ta. So very syncopated.
Ta
Ta ta ta ta.
Ta.
ta 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 ta.
Ta 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 ta. Okay, cool. Let's do that one more time. So yeah, so
Piece of carrots.
so for that last one, the downbeat is on and all of the other ones are offbeats. Right?
For the okay.
Because the other accented quarter, like downbeats, are tied over from the previous syncopated.
Does that
Eighth
tail
note.
mean that's on the offbeat?
Yes. Yeah. So if you look at the beginning of that measure, it's a dotted quarter note, right? Which is 3/8 notes long,
Okay.
right? So the first half of that measure is ta, ta. Sorry, ta, 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 right? And the second half is because the downbeat is held over from the previous syncopated offbeat.
Mm-hmm.
We don't accent it. So it's essentially a rest there. So that's ta, 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 ta. So you put those together and you have ta, 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 ta.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Let's try that whole phrase. 3, 4. Ta,
Ta
ta, 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 ta. 1, 2, 3. Ta, 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 ta. Good. Great. Very cool. So I want you guys to finish this page before you leave today, and let me know if you have any troubles. And this week, try to tackle the second page. It's much more complicated.
Should we all just do it together, like with the metronome?
Yeah.
Or should we do it separately?
I'd like you guys to try it on your own.
Okay.
And if you feel like you're struggling with any of them, then you can ask me. Maybe what we'll do is, why don't you guys try to tackle these on your own, and then we'll do them as a group and make sure everybody understands.